10 News begins with breaking news.
A bank robbery in Riverside turns into a SWAT standoff in San Diego at Rady Children's Hospital. Parts of the hospital are evacuated as officers hold the car and its driver at gunpoint. We have team coverage from the hospital.
We start with our 10 News anchor, Lindsay Pena. Lindsay, this dramatic scene is unfolding just feet from children, too.
Yeah, it is right now. Stim, Kim, and Steve, everything is blocked off. No one is getting in or out of Rady Children's Hospital. You can see behind me the police tape. Children's Way is completely closed off. That suspect still inside his SUV right in front of the emergency entrance here at Rady's. But police just updated us and tell us that SWAT is also in place to ensure everyone inside the hospital stays safe. The people in that immediate area of the emergency room have been evacuated and moved to a safer spot. Right now, Rady's is on what's called bypass. That means they aren't accepting new patients and people are being told to stay away from the area. This all started earlier this evening up in Riverside County. As you mentioned, authorities tell us they started chasing an armed robbery suspect. That suspect led law enforcement all the way down here and around 9:30 stopped in front of Rady's. San Diego police negotiators have been trying to get that man to surrender, but nothing yet. They do believe he has some kind of firearm, but wouldn't elaborate as to exactly what type. We were told by Riverside police that that suspect did call in during the chase to say he didn't want to hurt anyone, but gave them reason to believe that he is capable of harming himself. So again, he is parked right in front of the emergency entrance here in a black SUV. The San Diego police negotiations team is in contact with him and are trying to get him to peacefully surrender. The chopper has just returned. You can hear it hopefully overhead. So still a very tense standoff situation here in front of Rady Children's Hospital, but everyone inside the hospital, we're told, is safe tonight. We will update you again later in this newscast. For now, I'm Lindsay Pena reporting at Rady Children's Hospital.
All right, Lindsay, so much more to come. Our photojournalist Jenny Creighton has an incredible vantage point in the parking lot across the street. So Jenny, kind of describe what you can see from your vantage point.
Steve, let me tell you how I ended up here. The rest of the media was down on the sidewalk and they were all herded out for their own safety. I ran up to the parking structure across the street from Rady Children's Hospital emergency room, and I was told just to stay put, that it wasn't safe for me to go back down. So that's why I'm here. There are a handful of parents up here and one child who has a broken leg who was in the hospital earlier. What you're looking at in that picture, Steve, is if you focus there to the center of the of my picture, that's the SUV which Lindsay described that they were chasing all the way down here to Children's Hospital, Rady Children's Hospital. There are two Bearcats. San Diego PD has two full SWAT teams in place ready to go ahead and try to extract him from that vehicle, but they're being patient. They're trying to negotiate with him. They don't want him to get hurt, so that's what's going on right now, Steve. So I'll stay here as long as I can right across from where this is taking place. Back to you.
You're providing a great shot, Jenny, from there, and we can see that the left front tire is blown out. We know they did put a spike strip down on I-15 in Escondido. That clearly has him where he cannot go very fast in this SUV. We have photojournalist Paul Anderegg also live in our 10 News breaking news tracker in the area. Paul, what are you seeing?
This is the road leading into Children's Hospital. You can see we're about a block away. You can see those police lights up ahead blocking the road. And these cars you see that are lined up on the street here, some of them have been here a couple of hours. They're waiting to get to the hospital to see their loved ones, to see their children. One woman we talked to up here in this pickup truck, she said her husband is inside with their child. He needed an MRI. They're telling the husband that you guys need to stay, not quite shelter in place, but stay away from the windows, stay away from the doors to make sure in case anything happens that they're at a safe location. But they said other than that, the hospital is working like normal. She said her husband just went into the MRI with her son. So there is a large complex here, a large hospital, so it's not affecting the entire hospital. Obviously, no one can get in or out at this time. They did evacuate people through, it sounds like, some back or side doors. But for right now, anybody else trying to come in here, they're just going to be waiting until this is all over.
All right, Paul, thank you for that update. Police and also hospital officials telling us everyone inside the hospital now is safe. There is no reason for alarm in that regard. Joining us by phone is former San Diego Police SWAT commander. And Ray, Shea, appreciate your time tonight. We have to just ask you, this is an armed standoff right in front of Rady Children's Hospital. How does that affect how SWAT deals with him and the situation?
Well, I think what's important to remember is that people are safe inside the hospital. The San Diego SWAT team is well trained for this type of situation in cooperation with patrol officers, and they've contained the situation where the threat is. So the important thing is that they have containment. They're dealing with it. They have emergency negotiation teams on site. They're communicating. And this is something that the SWAT team is very, very good at. And so it's important to have confidence that they can handle the situation and do their very best to safely resolve it.
Ray, we've seen at times where the window has been rolled down. We know, as you mentioned, they are communicating with him. Just kind of give us an idea of what they're trying to tell him to diffuse this whole situation where he doesn't hurt himself or, of course, anyone else.
Well, the emergency negotiation team is very well trained in dealing with people in this crisis. There appears to be a man that is an armed felon or appears to be involved in a robbery and now is obviously worried about going back to prison. So it's a matter of being able to communicate, develop a relationship. And when these situations occur, we stress time, tactics, and talk. You want to talk to them, you want to slow it down. Now, obviously, the tactical team has responsibility to make sure that no one else gets injured. So they're going to keep them contained at that situation and try and develop a relationship with them. Give them to talk about what is bothering them and try and get them to safely turn himself in.
Ray, through all your years, just a gut feeling, we have to ask you, he hit that spike strip way up in Escondido on the 15, so he had to exit up in Escondido. And then he took roads down, and you don't exactly get to Children's Hospital right off the freeway. You have to take a few turns to get yourself there. Does anything in your gut think it's peculiar that he went right to the front door of a hospital?
Yeah, I think that's unusual. In all the tactical operations I've been involved in, I've never had an armed suspect drive to a hospital. So yes, that is definitely unique. And the problem is when you have a mobile, moving, hostile person with a handgun, some people might say, well, why don't you just pull up alongside and push his car off? The reality is he might have turned and shot an officer. That it's a very dangerous situation for everyone involved. And the officers were doing their very best to get him to stop. And there's only so many tools and tactics available to our tactical officers out there to stop moving vehicles that are causing a threat to the public.
Let's hope that they can get this taken care of soon. This is one of our most important hospitals in San Diego, and it's on bypass right now, but they certainly needed to get back in order. Ray, thank you so much for your insight with us now.
Thank you, Ray.
Anthony Pura joins us in the 10 News Live Center now with really how this all began. Very bizarre, Anthony.
Steve, Kimberly, this was a wild chase, and we mapped it out for you here. Take a look. Started around 6 o'clock here in Riverside. A bank was robbed at gunpoint. That's what started this. Now, the suspect got away, but police were able to locate him sometime later, and that's when the suspect started this chase. He started heading south on the 215 here, which you see turns into the 15 here as he started heading south towards San Diego, going about 60 miles per hour. Authorities chasing him. Now, you mentioned that spike strip that was deployed around here. This was near Escondido, El Norte Parkway, and the 15 South. That's where that spike strip was deployed. You mentioned those tires were blown out. Well, that suspect still kept going. We understand he was going at slower speeds at that time, about 25 miles per hour, eventually making his way just before 9 o'clock to Rady Children's Hospital. Now, I want to give you a closer look at that area here with this map. You can see Rady Children's Hospital, their campus here. Now, we understand that this is all happening here at the entrance along Children's Way. That's where this standoff is unfolding right now. We have crews in the area. They are monitoring the situation, and we will bring you updates throughout the night. In the Live Center, Anthony Pura, 10 News.
Anthony, thank you. As Anthony mentioned, our Lindsay Pena is there at the hospital. We'll continue to monitor this, get back to her a little bit later. In the meantime, the search continues tonight for the person or persons who killed a man in Mountain View this afternoon. Police say the call came in as shots fired, but hours later, officers could not confirm if the victim died from those gunshot wounds. Our 10 News reporter Laura Acevedo is live at the scene. And Laura, police think there could be multiple suspects.
Stephen, that is according to what witnesses told officers. They say they saw 2 cars fleeing the scene after that report of shots fired, but at this time, no arrest. Now, I want to direct your attention to a growing memorial here on this corner. There was an informal vigil, and a friend told me that he was a friend of the victims, but also did ask for privacy.
When we looked out, we noticed the large police presence.
It was the middle of the afternoon when police say they got a call reporting gunshots on Florence Lane in Mountain View. Officers showed up to find a man with trauma to his upper body. Police say he was rushed to the hospital where he died.
Officers did respond to gunshots call, but we don't know exactly what the cause of his injury was at this point.
Officers say the victim was 29 years old and lived in the area. They are still investigating a motive, but say it was not random. They don't believe it's gang related.
A little nervous because we weren't sure exactly what happened and how close the shooting has happened.
Florence Lane was shut down for hours as investigators interviewed witnesses, neighbors, and the victim's family members. Those that work nearby surprised that this happened in their neighborhood.
We've been here for so long that it's a pretty quiet area, and especially because we have the school here, there's just families here. So yes, we were surprised that something like that has happened.
Police say the only leads they have right now is that the 2 men were seen taking off from the area, one in a silver Dodge pickup and another in a dark Chrysler sedan, both of them wearing dark shirts. Now, anyone with information is asked to call the San Diego Police Department. Reporting live from Mountain View, Laura Acevedo, 10 News.
I have a lot of mixed emotions, but I feel like my biggest emotion is just trying to stay strong, because I know that's what he wants me to do.
Remembering a Helix High student stabbed to death trying to do the right thing. 10 News reporter Anthony Pura is live at the school. The teenager's family and friends are grieving tonight and hoping the killers are caught.
When the school day ended, crowds began to assemble at Helix High School to remember Devon Griffiths, whose life was suddenly cut short.
How he just connected to everybody.
Devon was Michael Arroyo's best friend.
I have a lot of mixed emotions, but I feel like my biggest emotion is just trying to stay strong, because I know that's what he wants me to do.
Devon was at a birthday party on January 31st. 10 News learned it was a Snapchat party. A family friend says it was well organized and even had someone working the door. An argument broke out between Devon's friend and another teen, which turned into a brawl. Devon tried to help his friend, who was being attacked by several young men. That's when he was stabbed.
That does sound like Devon, because I know he would do something like that.
Devon died in the hospital over the weekend, his family by his side. His family was at the vigil Wednesday night, witnessing the candles that were lit for the young man they raised.
Please come forward, because this kid was taught to stick up for those who were down, and he lost his life for it.
The plea from Devon's family and friends to teens who were at that party and their parents. Police say the suspect group consists of 8 to 15 people, ages 17 to 20, mostly men. They took off in 2 unmarked vehicles when officers arrived.
Please, 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 your children know something, and they're afraid. And so they will not tell unless they have the support. So please take the lead and call the police.
In La Mesa, Anthony Pura, 10 News.